What's up, YouTube? Nick izSlime back with another video, back with another reaction, bro. Today we got the real killer fake gangster. I think this part 4, bro. It's been a minute, but we about to finish this, y'all. I think there's gonna be like 2 more parts or like 1 more part. I don't know. But if you're new to the channel, subscribe, smash the like button, follow the Instagram, follow the Twitch, follow the handles in the description below, bro. If you ain't seen the last parts, go check that out. Let's get right into the video, bro. Off probation, still flexing, still stepping.
Doesn't say all that.
Yeah, but if you know, you know. If you still flexing, still stepping, you know, like, you know what I mean? You wasn't there for that.
But I know about it.
You know about it, but you ain't get it.
So,
Yeah. Oh shit. I forgot to put this shit right here.
Success of AI Youngboy 2, Youngboy wasn't taking his foot off the gas. He would continue releasing new music and songs like Bring 'Em Out, yet another murder anthem, wall-to-wall with lyrics about contract killings and dropping bags on ops and even their mothers. And Youngboy himself would still be fighting for his own freedom in the courts. After being sentenced to a year of probation following his involvement in the broad daylight shootout outside the Trump Hotel back when he was in Miami for the Rolling Loud Festival, but it wasn't that shooting that got him in trouble. It was the fact that he was involved in it whilst on a 10-year suspended sentence for the 2016 double attempted murder charge he caught trying to avenge his murdered cousin Boozilla. On December the 13th, 2019, Youngboy would be back in court where he would score a rare legal victory regarding that case, when the judge ultimately granted a request to terminate his probation
when that
early,
happened, I said
apparently he had
lawyers,
completed
the
all of
Warriors,
his conditions to date.
NBA Youngboy.
I said his lawyers, the 2016 Warriors.
yeah,
when they beat that federal case. I don't know. I don't think this is that, but it might be actually.
Boy was in court today. He's no longer on probation and says he plans to leave Louisiana. A judge today ended his probation during a hearing. Lawyers for the rapper, whose real name is Kentrell Golden, had argued that he followed all of the court's conditions. Golden was arrested back in May after a deadly shootout in Florida. His defense had argued that he was actually the target of the shooting, but he was already on probation in connection to a 2016 shooting.
She snaked him. That John right there. That's the John that snaked him in Lonely Child.
Grandma, baby. What's up, Jay Harlow?
Jay Harlow.
Double R. What's up, Jay Harlow?
Who the fuck is Jay Harlow? You know Jay
Double
Harlow?
R.
whatever that dude was.
I got me. How you gonna do it?
Congratulations, bro.
Yeah. Oh,
how do you feel right now?
Feel good, bro. I ain't lying.
This was a huge win for Youngboy, and arguably the judge was doing him a huge personal favour. After all, it was plainly clear to anybody who knew the situation that Youngboy's enemies in Baton Rouge wanted him dead, and it would turn out that the conditions of his probation were actually creating potential danger for him. Apparently, a court-approved music video had actually put Youngboy's property lease in question, and with limited rental properties available in Baton Rouge where he could genuinely remain safe and anonymous, moving out of the city would be his best option. However, prior restrictions relating to his probations would force him to keep coming back to Baton Rouge, where he would indeed be a huge target for his ops. Atlantic Records would even write a letter to the judge claiming that his personal and financial safety were at risk in Baton Rouge, and the judge actually agreed. So, after being granted his freedom, Youngboy called Judge Jackson a blessing, saying that she saved him and saying that she had given him opportunity after opportunity up until this point. And honestly, it seemed like this judge truly had Youngboy's back, apparently previously denying numerous attempts by the district attorney to revoke his probation and send him straight back to jail. She ultimately told Youngboy that she felt that it was the people around him that didn't have his best interests at heart and that they were bringing him down. And while the judge is clearly trying to give Youngboy helpful advice from her perspective, realistically it was the same people bringing trouble into Youngboy's life that were also putting their lives on the line to protect it. I would personally argue it wasn't Youngboy's friends bringing him down, but his enemies in the rival crew TBG that kept trying to kill him that were truly bringing him down. And right or wrong, it was the NBA members that were willing to kill, die, or serve life in prison, all in the pursuit of protecting their provider Youngboy. And oh boy was he providing, because by 2020, Youngboy had now released 15 full-length projects, and off the back of the success of AI Youngboy 2, he was now clocking in a total record of 17 songs charting on the Billboard Hot 100 and 13 projects charting on Billboard's 200 album chart. In February 2020, the Wall Street Journal drops an article saying that Youngboy is the biggest music star you've probably never heard of, pointing to the fact that despite not being a household name globally, he had continued to dominate on YouTube as the top artist, and soon Youngboy would be ready to follow up his prior success with another full-length project. On February the 21st, 2020, Youngboy released his first project of the year, Still Flexin', Still Steppin'. This project had the hit single and another of my personal favourite Youngboy tracks, Lil Top, which would end up peaking at number 28 on Billboard's Hot 100 Songs chart, with this being the highest charting solo hit of his career to date. But the overall content of this project was very much still gangbanging, which certainly fit in with the title, Still Flexin', Still Steppin'. The project sees Youngboy describing his life very much still adjacent to the streets, with lyrics all about taking 50k cash out of the bank to fund more hits in the streets. But he would also open up about still feeling depression on the project, along with numerous tributes to his fallen manager Dump, as well as promises to avenge him, and revealing omissions that he is still at war over the murder of his cousin Boozilla. However, on this project, in one of the first instances of caution, on the track Long Road, Youngboy actually does rap that he didn't kill anyone, with it being unclear if this is him saying that there's no evidence that he's killed anyone, or if for the first time he's actually admitting that while he's living in close proximity to murder and gang violence, he's not actually responsible for any of the murders that he has been associated with over the course of his career. Considering how laced this project is with threats to his ops, it does really make you wonder whether Youngboy truly is still this gangster that he's portraying in his music, or whether he really is just an artist from the streets selling the gangster image to his audience because he knows that's what sells. In the track Call Me Late, Youngboy claims to still be ready to kill and go to trial, even claiming that his desire to kill every single op is still his main focus in life. Claims which at this point in his career are kinda hard to take seriously. Clearly Youngboy is still affected by the lifestyle, rapping elsewhere that he is often seen shaking in his sleep and waking up from nightmares, reaching for the nearest gun, with him going on to say that he doesn't actually want to hurt anybody and that he just wants to be left alone, by his ops, by the police, and by the devil. On the final track of the project, titled No Understand, Youngboy reflects on his life of crime, saying that he doesn't feel shame for all of the people that died in his beefs, but admitting that he still cries at night over it, as well as reflecting on feeling guilt for the innocent people who were hurt or died during that shootout at the Trump Hotel, and reflecting on whether or not he's going to have to be the person in his community who breaks the cycle of gang violence, going on to acknowledge that his young shooters who have lost their parents don't know what's important in life yet and are simply programmed to kill. Still Flexin', Still Steppin' was the latest chapter in Youngboy's story, and he continued to have his fans captivated. This project earned him an impressive number 2 debut on the Billboard Albums charts, narrowly losing out on the top spot to K-pop sensations BTS. But clearly not content with the number 2 slot, Youngboy would do what he does best and continue dropping music throughout 2020. Only 2 months later, on April the 24th, Youngboy released yet another full-length project titled 38 Baby 2. This project would land the top slot on Billboard, making it his second #1 charting album. Unsurprisingly, 38 Baby 2 is riddled with violent lyrics, threats, and street-related boasts from start to finish. 2020 was shaping up to be the golden age of the gangster rapper, with the rising popularity of Chicago drill rappers like King Von and Lil Durk, as well as the rising popularity of the New York drill scene, which reached a crescendo in 2020 when breakout star Pop Smoke unfortunately lost his life in a California home invasion right at the height of his popularity. It seemed at this point that every city in America had a rapper that was going viral for their music breaking down the local gang politics. And at this point, it was undeniable that Youngboy was the undisputed king of violent murder raps, and he wouldn't take his foot off the gas all of 2020, continuing to make music that appeared to hint at his violent past. And his next project would deliver exactly what these rap fans were asking for, and he would continue to reap the benefits. On September the 11th, 2020, Youngboy's latest release, Top, would come out, with this technically being his second studio album, despite the fact that he had dropped full-length, album-quality mixtapes non-stop ever since signing his label deal with Atlantic. With his album Top, Youngboy had once again landed the Billboard #1 position, with this being his third #1 album in the span of just a year. And at a stretch, if you want to include Still Flexin', that's 4 top 2 albums in less than 12 months. That's one of the most impressive runs of success in rap history, very nearly challenging Future, who famously—
Let me know in the comments, bro. Is that his like greatest run, like that year? I don't know, bro. 2022, like it's either 2022, 2020, or 2018, or 2017, 2018. I don't know. I don't know which one the best one. They all goated, but let me know in the comments if you think one is the most, like, the best one. His best run.
dropped 5 #1 charting albums in the span of 2 years. Youngboy would end 2020 on top once again, holding down his spot as the most streamed artist in the US on YouTube, ahead of Lil Baby, Drake, and Bad Bunny, with a colossal 2.66 billion streams for the
Damn.
year. At the young age of
That's a
20,
big difference.
Youngboy had already cemented
That was a
himself
big
as one of the most beloved rappers in the industry. With a catalogue the size of many veteran rappers and Billboard records brewing, it would be hard to imagine where things would go next. Unfortunately, however, despite all of his mainstream success, these Billboard charting songs were still laced with violent content that continued to prod and threaten his rap rivals back in Baton Rouge. And even from the safety of his home, Youngboy's words would travel, and back in Baton Rouge, the violence would continue to play out, where fortunately for Youngboy, eventually the authorities would manage to lock up one of his most dangerous rivals.
The Yoshi. I really don't know a lot about this
While
thing, I ain't gonna
Youngboy
lie.
was breaking records in the music industry and living the high life, albeit often on house arrest, his enemies in Baton Rouge were continuing the long-running gang conflict, with rappers and shooters affiliated with TBG, Top Boy Gorilla, relentless on their search to harm NBA or 4K Trey members, all in a quest to avenge the deaths of G Money and Boulevard Quick. One of the most prominent rappers and shooters was a TBG affiliate known as Lit Yoshi, who'd already been rumoured to have played a role in the murder of Youngboy's manager Big Dump, and subsequently even released numerous songs claiming to have smoked him. Lit Yoshi was truly a loose cannon, and wanted all of Baton Rouge to know just how savage he was in the streets. He appeared on the song with fellow TBG affiliate Seven Hardaway, the track Yo Hardaway, a song where he shocked fans with an outlandish lyric where he claimed, "Bitch, you know I'm evil, I'll step on Jesus." In the very same song, Hardaway disses Youngboy by rapping, "For a Trey 8 baby, I got 38 cradles," and reminding him of that ill-fated shootout in Miami by rapping, "You will never make your show, cause we might kill you for rehearsal." Members from TBG were still attacking the NBA crew and their affiliates, whether on songs or in the actual streets. According to documents later revealed in court, Lit Yoshi was connected to a February 2019 shooting at a house associated with BBG members, BBG being the crew that Youngboy's cousin Boozilla famously repped heavily before NBA became famous. 2 months later, Yoshi would allegedly strike again. On the 10th of April 2019, police would be seen securing a crime scene on a stretch of Highland Road in Baton Rouge. The police would initially attempt to keep details of the incident secret. However, court documents would later reveal that Lit Yoshi was accused of performing a drive-by on that street, with 4 people being hit by a shooter firing an assault rifle at them outside of a convenience store. But the
That shit crazy because they really be like you can't do some shit in 5 years ago and they still be worried about that shit. Like they still be like worried trying to figure out who the fuck it was. You 5 years later, they're like, oh, this nigga did this 5 years ago. Like niggas don't never got no time to like that shit don't really never go away. That shit crazy. Like niggas like who the fuck is doing that for 5 years?
Wait, what do you mean doing that for fun?
Like why are you like researching this case for 5 years? Like when are you gonna give it up? Like real shit though.
Because they probably trying to really crack it. Like somebody's looking for answers. Somebody wants the answers. They want
Yeah.
to get this.
really crazy thing is that after these 2 shootings, Yoshi would still evade arrest, and only a month after this alleged quadruple attempted murder, Lit Yoshi would then be connected to the shootout targeting Youngboy outside the Trump Hotel in Miami, with an innocent bystander unfortunately losing their life. However, thankfully, authorities would eventually put together their case and take Yoshi off the streets. 4 months after the Trump Hotel shooting in September 2019, Yoshi would be rapping on the song Blasting, all about hitting people with bullets so hard they'll think they're 7.62s. 3 months after that, in December 2019, he would be arrested by authorities in connection to the April 2019 quadruple shooting, as detectives revealed that both the 7.62 cartridge was apparently found at the scene and that the victim of the drive-by identified Yoshi as the shooter. With all of this evidence landing Lit Yoshi, real name Myoshi Edwards, to eventually be charged with 4 counts of attempted murder over the incident, with police also claiming that ballistics proved that the same gun was used in the February 2019 shooting at the 3000 block of Crestwood Street, the known BBG house. The cops would describe Yoshi as a TBG enforcer, and even claim publicly that Yoshi was a suspect in numerous murders prior to these charges. But in an insane turn of fate, despite the apparent danger that Lit Yoshi clearly posed to the community, Baton Rouge authorities did not keep him locked up, and within a week of the public learning of his arrest, Lit Yoshi was miraculously bailed out, to which he would celebrate by dropping a music video for a new song titled First Day Out. The music video starts with a menacing intro taken from a YouTube documentary where a computer-generated voice lists the charges that Yoshi was arrested for, with this being followed by a real-life shot of him walking out of the same jail that Youngboy has walked out of so many times before. The song itself is mostly Yoshi taunting his ops, with some incredibly incriminating lyrics given the charges, such as Yoshi telling the listeners how he still has the same Glock that made him drop, and how he still gets a drop on all the ops and continues spinning their blocks. The brazenness of the song wasn't lost on the fans, who would clown him in the comments for self-snitching, imagining his lawyer listening to the song and immediately having a heart attack. And despite the incredibly serious charges that Yoshi was facing, he would seemingly make no efforts to slow down or stop his street habits. However, while that Yoshi was causing chaos in Baton Rouge and finessing his way out of trouble, the deadly gang war would continue to play out in the streets. On the 22nd of March 2020, a shooting would occur at the family home of an NBA affiliate. 37-year-old Travis Parker, known in the streets as T-Baby or T-Main, who some have claimed was the brother-in-law of the late Big Dump, would be shot and killed in his home, while a 62-year-old woman believed to be his mother would be wounded but fortunately survived. T-Baby was apparently a close friend of NBA 4K Trey affiliate YMM Captain, and they had been seen pictured together in slime green bandanas. People on social media would identify their close friendship and work out that TBG rival Fredo Bang had seemingly been trolling Captain by liking his tribute post to T-Baby on Instagram. Unfortunately for Fredo Bang, exactly a week later the tables would turn, and he would end up grieving the loss of his own friend. On Sunday, the 29th of March 2020, a man was found shot to dead in front of a food mart in Baton Rouge. Police would reveal the name of the deceased man as 36-year-old Jason Nixon, with a gun violence memorial website confirming that he was a TBG affiliate who went by the name Dutch. Dutch was apparently an older and well-respected member of TBG, and he could often be seen hanging around other TBG artists like Fredo Bang, Lit Yoshi, and Boulevard Sleepy, including appearing in the music video for Lit Yoshi's song First Day Out, and TBG members would seemingly turn out to show love at his funeral. TBG rapper Seven Hardaway was a close friend of TBG Dutch, and he mourned the death of his friend by posting a photo of him on his IG story, along with the ominous song War Baby by Roddy Ricch, a track which discusses the trauma of growing up in a war zone where you have to slide on the sliders. Then, a few months later, Hardaway would release a heartfelt song titled Pain, where he reminisces all about his fallen friends, including TBG Dutch. But while TBG affiliates were posting tributes to Dutch, NBA and 4K Trey affiliates were seemingly dissing him, with Baby Joe making an Instagram story making fun of TBG members whose feelings would have been hurt over Dutch's death. Also in March 2020, Lit Yoshi and NBA Michi Baby would go back and forth on social media, after it was rumored that Michi had been a target of one of Yoshi's shootings and was potentially planning to testify. Fredo Bang and Yoshi would post an image to Instagram apparently showing a letter that Michi had received from the authorities, informing him that he was formally listed as a victim in a shooting case and that he would need to go to court and appear as a witness. However, this letter didn't have any kind of indication that he was a cooperating witness, and it seems to me, simply put, that the feds identified him as being shot or being shot at and are simply hoping that he will turn up to court and give evidence, with Michi taking to IG himself to claim that he did receive a letter from the cops, but that he had no intention of taking the stand and that the letter wasn't even addressed to him personally.
You see him?
Y'all better go read that paper. I got told on somebody. Stupid is lit. The paper is on Instagram. Read the paper. Stupid. The I told on my. You don't see no statement with Lawrence Wilson back. Ain't my name and ain't my address. Those stupid. Over sound me too. Bitch, read the. Them turn y'all. This boy. Turn. Turn. Read. What he said? I told on. Oh bitch. They was me up. It's the piece of paper. Didn't say. Done and flow. Big dog, man. Hey, that's say done and flow.
He would go on to admit that Yoshi did shoot at him and that the cops took him to jail and then sent him the letter.
They be snapping.
Shot at me, and the people wanted, they sent a piece of paper to my house. They sent a piece of paper to my house. They shot at me, I ain't leave that. The police pulled up, I went to jail at night and everything, man. Stop playing with me, man.
However, that didn't stop Yoshi, who would continue to mock Michi on Instagram, even tagging him directly in a post asking him not to come to court on him. And he would also post another story calling Michi an informant just because he received that letter and saying that they have no evidence on Yoshi, and that he's being taken to court purely because of Michi's statement, and suggesting that Michi did this to get off probation himself.
Get on here, talk about some fake. Yeah, stop playing. That's the paper that came to your front door. Playing. MBA Michi is a rat. You heard what I said? That ain't the paperwork saying exactly what he said, but that's the paperwork saying that you's a victim. You said something and they need you to back up on my court date because they don't have nothing on me. You know what I'm saying? They only got probation for 5 years, 10 years in jail if you get caught with a gun. You just got out. You swapped me out, huh? Yeah, you made a deal with the people and swapped me out for your probation, huh?
Now, Michi would continue to deny that he was a snitch, calling out Yoshi for attention seeking. Fortunately for Yoshi, these statements would come back to haunt him. But even with all of this attention around the situation, he would allegedly continue to slide in the streets and shoot at his ops only a couple of weeks later. A week after the murder of TBG Dutch, on the 6th of April 2020, 2 masked men were caught on security camera footage shooting at somebody in a parking lot of an apartment complex in East Baton Rouge. While the intended target of the shooters is off screen, the camera would capture the frightful moments of an innocent bystander sitting in their car getting caught in the crossfire. One of the shooters would later turn out to be Lit Yoshi. In fact, he would appear in a social media post along with Seven Hardaway wearing the exact same outfit from the shooting surveillance footage, a black Night-Tech hoodie and grey sweats, while Seven Hardaway would be wearing a different hoodie, but it is clear that he also matches the build of the other shooter in the footage. This was seemingly a post laughing about the shooting incident and tagging Fredo Bang, letting him know that they were in a good mood after carrying out the shooting. One of the targets of this incident was later revealed to have been the NBA affiliate, who was later convicted in connection to the murder of G Money, NBA Lil Pap, aka DeAndre Fields. And the other target of the shooting would seemingly be Michi Baby, with later court documents pointing out that Yoshi had quite literally tried to kill the same man that he was just calling a snitch a month before on social media, which would leave one to believe that Yoshi was actively attempting to kill the witness/victim of the previous shooting, all in an attempt to beat that charge. But ironically, he would now be on the hook for yet another crime. And it was only 10 days after that alleged shooting that Yoshi would make yet another IG Live where he accused NBA members of snitching on him and FL Dusa.
I don't want to go to jail. Them boys free Dusa. Dusa already doing 5 years with them. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want no smoke with no BBG. All of my boys. So y'all stop saying that like I'm beefing with them boys. I'm not. I don't want no smoke with none of them. I'm scared of them. They'll end your life. They'll have you facing time. I'm scared of them boys. They're my boys. I love them. I don't want no beef with them. Somebody died, the whole city rep on one body. That's crazy. How if somebody died, the whole city will get on Instagram and rep on it. And ain't got nothing to do with it. These crazy. These better start sliding for their own people that's dead. Or people who still up.
Dusa was still sitting in jail during this time, but even behind bars, he was still stoking the conflict and dropping jail freestyles threatening his ops, and seemingly alluding to that incident back in 2016 where an NBA member got shot in the neck when Youngboy and others had tried to slide on them following the death of Boozilla.
Oh, yeah, now? Don't let them black into the spot now. Spin a business on that move into his laptop. Speak on me, the same reason they put 6 feet, elevate his soul up to God to a sky to wake his whole family. Yeah, I'm living like I'm Big Meech. Cross me and I'm a burn to the 5th degree. The 10th with ease, I'm a squeeze till he bleed out. With that barrel in his mouth, a fifth they let talk. I'm posting in my city with them birds and they get down. If my mouth they burnt it down, them killers flowers real now. They shot his brother in his neck. And you know I got no respect except for him and around him. I have no regret. Altercation with that other. He gonna die for that. My shooters even twinkling, they like, come on, cut the check.
Meanwhile, on the streets, despite being firmly in the crosshairs of law enforcement, Lit Yoshi would continue to allegedly be involved in shootouts, this time on the 4th of July, in one of the most reckless incidents seen in this story. Police would respond to a drive-by shooting on the 11300 block of Greenwell Springs Road, which had apparently targeted a car in which 2 adults and 2 children were inside. All 4 passengers in the vehicle would end up in hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. But the police would soon have a breakthrough, linking the rental car used in both the April and July 2020 shootings to Lit Yoshi's girlfriend, who had rented it in her real name. Yoshi would be the subject of a search warrant, with cops finding an assault rifle in his car that matched the crime scene's
get
ballistics.
this nigga
Detectives also
gone.
found a pair of shoes at Yoshi's apartment that were used by one of the shooters
I
in the
never
April
heard of this
shooting
nigga.
that
I
was
ain't
all
gonna lie.
caught on camera. Yoshi's arrest would make the local news as soon as cops took him into custody.
A man is behind bars tonight after police connected him to a shooting on
COVID.
Greenwell Springs Road that happened over the weekend. Video surveillance linked Mayoshi Edwards to that shooting. 2 children and 2 adults were shot when a car pulled next to theirs and began.
Now that I think about it, did niggas start wearing skis before COVID? Like, were niggas wearing skis and like regularly like before COVID? I don't think niggas was doing that. I think. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, bro. Was niggas wearing like now it's regular, but like was that because of COVID or was that before COVID? Niggas always did that shit. Like I don't think niggas did that shit for real.
I feel like
During COVID is when niggas started just wearing skis because they didn't want to wear a mask. Like it's a mask. You can wear a mask. As long as you had a mask on, you was good. But like I don't know if niggas just wore skis before COVID. Like niggas
I feel
didn't
like
wear
some
skis.
people did, but it wasn't really.
Like niggas didn't really wear skis. Like how they do. And niggas wear that shit for like fashion now. It's
Right.
normal to wear that shit and just have it on in like public. Niggas didn't just have skis on all the time.
I do their hair.
Can't hear you.
As the niggas gotta brush their hair and brush their teeth. Using it to cover themselves.
Shooting. When police took Edwards into custody, they actually realized he had an active arrest warrant for a shooting that happened back in April that sent 1 person to the hospital. Edwards is now charged with 7 counts of attempted first-degree murder, among other charges.
So, Lit Yoshi would be facing a whopping 7 attempted murder charges on the 9th of July 2020. But in an absolutely insane move by the Baton Rouge judiciary, he would be given bail once again just a day later, with a $1.16 million bond being set, ironically by the very same judge who kept on giving Youngboy chances in his attempted murder case. But hey, maybe she was a TBG fan too. But anyway, eventually it would appear as if sense prevailed in the courtrooms of Baton Rouge, because after this, another judge stepped in to place a bond hold on Yoshi, with all of his shooting cases being combined and handed to yet another judge who set Yoshi a combined bond price of $1.82 million. But this still gave him the option to bond out, apparently with the option to go on house arrest in another state, Florida, where he would still be allowed to make music. However, Yoshi would be banned from making social media postings, and this is perhaps why we heard very little from Yoshi publicly during this time. But it did seem like he was indeed able to bond out and go to Florida as planned, filing a not guilty plea on August the 3rd, 2020, with his family apparently putting up the $1.82 million bond that he would need to be released, as he told the court he was indeed moving to Florida. While Yoshi was in the midst of his legal battles, Youngboy and Fredo Bang would continue to go back and forth on social media. On July the 20th, they would both post videos showing that they're outside, with Fredo driving around, possibly in Baton Rouge, along with his fellow TBG rapper Seven Hardaway and the rest of the TBG posse, telling the camera how his ops aren't in their own hood.
We on location. Don't be in that hood, you heard me? About the mud like a bag.
With Youngboy replying with a story of his own, speeding in a car and telling the ops they need to catch him if they want to assassinate him.
I love being rich, you hear me? You gotta come catch me to assassinate me with your scary.
The following month, in August 2020, Fredo Bang and Youngboy would go back and forth on social media yet again, as Fredo was teasing his upcoming album titled In the Name of G, a tribute to his fallen TBG friend G Money. It would soon emerge that Fredo was eyeing a September the 11th release date for the project. This, unfortunately, would also be the intended release date of Youngboy's upcoming project, Top. Fredo would post on his Instagram story saying how it seems that they'll be both dropping their albums on the same day.
He been doing that shit. He been dropping on niggas' dates. Like, yeah, nigga, you dropping? Oh, yeah, me too. Me too, nigga. Remember he did that shit to Dirk? He dropped the album, and then Dirk announced his date, and then he dropped the other album, Rich Out. Like, remember he dropped the 2 albums, like, back to back? Like, in, like, the 2 weeks? And then, well, he dropped the, Won't Try This at Home. And then he dropped Rich's Out.
Oh yeah.
But Dirk moved his date, and that's when he made that video. It was like, don't ever try it again.
I love you do remember that a little bit.
Check out my watch, mama. That's when he did that video. That was the same video where he was like, don't ever try it again. Check out my watch, mama.
You need a bit.
Yeah, like 5 watches though.
Youngboy his son, to which Youngboy would reply with a furious video rant, along with a caption telling Fredo that he's going to catch him and shoot him, and even going as far as to tell Fredo he's not a killer and that he should go and dig all 3 of his dead friends up, a reference to the deaths of G-Money, Boulevard Quick, and TBG Dutch. Youngboy would also say that he's not in competition with Fredo and that Fredo wants to do everything he does, even bizarrely accusing Fredo Bang of wanting to be just like Youngboy and trying to smash every girl that Youngboy smashes, and strangely saying that if he smashed Fredo's mum, Fredo would probably try and do it too.
I'm crying.
You a bum, you ass. Go dig all 3 of your brothers up with your scary. Stop running from me. I ain't in no competition with you. Stop writing me. You ain't no killer. You won't be like me. You write me all day. You are. And I could double back. Hey, I could any gonna try to double back and I could your mama. You gonna try to your mama. You a pimp.
Fredo would soon reply with his own video, where he would act much more calm and collected than Youngboy, telling viewers to go and help Youngboy with his anger issues. Fredo would then diss Youngboy's fallen friend Dump, making fun of his weight and his death, saying that he needed an extra large coffin, as well as mocking NBA member KD, who had reportedly become paralyzed after being shot in yet another shooting in April 2019, a fact which is apparently a closely guarded secret in the NBA camp.
Man, somebody go help little brother out, bro. He angry, dog. He angry. Talking about dead partners and shit. Like I'm on this talking about Fat Boy and that extra large coffin he got. You hear me? Or Professor X, how got push his half dead around. I'm not on this talking about that. I said I was sell more albums. You drop it every time I drop.
Fredo would also address Youngboy's claim that he tries to smash all of his girls by saying it's not his fault that the girls send him DMs.
Then you mad about a. It ain't my fault. All your bitch in my DM. We share 2. Now all of a sudden I'm just everything. You stop playing, man.
Meanwhile, even with TBG's main shooter Lit Yoshi exiled to house arrest in Florida, NBA members would still live in constant danger in Baton Rouge, and there would be back-to-back shootings in November. At around 7 p.m. on the 20th of November 2020, Baton Rouge police arrived to the racetrack gas station at the 8000 block of Airline Highway, amid reports of a shooting nearby. Cops would find 2 people shot at that gas station, with one person surviving, but the other person passing away en route to hospital. It's unclear if this incident was related to the rap feud in Baton Rouge, but what happened next absolutely was. The following day, at around 11:30 p.m. on November the 21st, 2020, at the Z Quick Mart gas station store on Hooper, Baton Rouge police would report a shooting where the victim had returned gunfire and survived, with fans capturing a heavy police presence at the location immediately after reports. Over the following days, hip-hop news media would report the shooting of a prominent NBA member, Big B, and it would later be reported that Big B was in the hospital after taking a shot to the leg. And after some time, he would begin to be seen on social media showing off his injuries and mobility aids, even posting a picture to Instagram supposedly at the Z Quick Mart gas station, pump number 8, where he was apparently found after being shot. Interestingly, after the shooting, reports would also circulate suggesting that the person who shot him was now dead. However, it was unclear exactly who this supposed deceased shooter was. It seemed logical that perhaps the man at the scene who was shot when Big B was returning fire was the original shooter who may have been hit. Conversely, according to one wild fan theory, an apparent revenge attack had happened all the way in Houston, citing a double shooting at a North Houston motel, the Green Chase Inn, on November the 21st, where a man was found dead. That would turn out to be false, however, as that man was found dead at 9 p.m. the same night, 3.5 hours before Big B was actually shot. I actually believe that people are confusing the November the 20th gas station shooting the day before Big B got shot, which as far as I'm aware is completely unrelated to the Big B situation, and actually was related to a home invasion where somebody got killed in self-defense, also not related to this incident. And Big B himself would even come out to deny having killed the person who shot him in a Fuchsia's TV interview.
You got shot in your leg, right? Yeah. At the gas station. And I was doing my research. It said that I guess the person that shot at you or something, that he died. Is that true? Nah, but people, they just making stories and all kinds of shit.
Regardless of whether or not revenge was carried out, this was clearly a major incident that affected the NBA camp, and this incident would soon make its way to music. Later on, in the song Soul Snatchers that was released in June 2022, Big B raps how he didn't have time to aim but still shot back when he was shot at, which many people believe is a reference to this incident. Youngboy would also rap in his song Lost Soul Survivor, released in August 2020, how someone shot his brother 5 times, but he didn't die, and in fact shot back. Only a few weeks after Big B getting shot, In December 2020, TBG rapper Seven Hardaway would come out with a diss track titled Treason, seemingly aimed at NBA and specifically Youngboy himself. Hardaway begins the song by rapping about Youngboy's early days and how he used to coach him when Youngboy was still friendly with TBG. Then he expresses his disappointment at Youngboy's beefs with Floyd Mayweather and Jay Prince, calling him stupid and illiterate, while also telling how NBA are always dissing TBG but are hiding when Hardaway and Lit Yoshi come out into the streets, and going on later in the song to diss Youngboy's use of auto-tune, a lack of street cred, and his hunger for clout. Meanwhile, back in Miami, videos of Lit Yoshi enjoying life on house arrest would eventually make their way to vlogs on his YouTube channel, documenting the months that he spent on house arrest, where he would openly shout out his gang as he prepared to spend big money on his case, and telling the world that house arrest ain't stopping anything.
TBG Gorilla Gang, bang biz. Court today, it's up at the court. I should be hearing good news. We got them cracks, they think I'm broke, man. That house arrest shit ain't stopping, boy.
And clearly, Lit Yoshi had become a big fan of Chicago rappers King Von and Lil Durk, rapping some of Von's most violent lyrics whilst walking around his house.
Plus no beef. We into it till you die, real street. At your funeral, I might just slide. Rest in peace. You know I know. My life worth a photo.
And also singing along to Lil Durk lyrics about shootings on the way to court. Yoshi's vlog would show him preparing for court, with him apparently highly confident of the judge giving him even more freedoms, telling viewers how he had been on his best behavior for about 3 months now, and complaining that staying in the house doesn't fit him as he likes to move around.
TBG Gorilla Gang, gonna go to court. Everything should be looking good, boy. Hop in that form. I ain't worrying about nothing in my city. You know what's down. I've been good for 3 months, baby. They gotta let me do something. You been killing me, boy. I've been stuck in the house 2.5 months, man. I couldn't even leave out there. That ain't Yo-Yo, boy. Y'all know Yo-Yo like to move around, boy.
Yoshi would be boastful about getting out on bail during this time, claiming that he felt like a free man already and that the judge just needed to put the icing on the cake.
Yeah, man, it feel good to ride back around, man. I feel like a free man again. All I need is the judge to put the icing on the cake, baby. Hear him, so I eat my cake like anime.
Now, this bravado turned out to be misplaced, as it would turn out that at this hearing in November 2020, the judge actually admonished Yoshi for having too much fun on bail, even going as far as to claim that he was treating his house arrest as a paid vacation, since Yoshi was amongst friends, having fun and making music, with the district attorney complaining that Yoshi was violating curfew by moving around Miami late at night on jet skis and relaxing on the beach. As a punishment, his curfew was extended from starting from 8 PM to starting at 6 PM and running to 6 AM the next day, and telling him specifically no more jet skis or visits to glitzy Miami beauty spots like Biscayne Bay and South Beach. And even in his vlog, we would soon see a stressed out Yoshi after court, where he claimed that they tried to keep him locked up in court and that his situation might not be improving.
I almost sent my back to jail. What? Just talking about stupid misunderstood in last coordination. Man, boy, I thought I wasn't about to leave out there. And I still can't do nothing though. I still can't do nothing. They had me in that bill about 4 hours. These, I thought I wasn't coming out there. How they was talking. Thought everything was gonna go better than what it did, but it didn't. Sit back again.
Yoshi would even open up, saying that prosecutors had actively tried to completely revoke his bond, with fellow TBG rapper Seven Hardaway trying to put a positive spin on things, saying that that's not a problem because they got money and they could put up another $2 million bail.
They're trying to revoke my bond. I ain't even get a chance to talk about me back working.
You hear me? Look, they try to revoke my partner bond, but
so
we got money. So you know, look. I don't know, $2 million bond. You hear me? Which I want another $2 million. Ain't no money. Got plenty of money.
After being briefly humbled by almost losing his house arrest privileges, in time, Yoshi would revert back to his cocky attitude, perhaps as a result of that big stack of money truly going to his head. Yoshi would continue to record and release music during this stint on house arrest, with lyrics giving us a peek into his mental state during this period. In the song Get Back, released late in December 2020, Yoshi showed no signs of giving up his violent lifestyle, a track coming laced with pointed lyrics about dead op boys and taunting his ops, asking what they're gonna do about it. An insane lyric when you consider the fact that this guy seems to repeatedly target his ops with no care to the innocent people or children who get in the way away, and the police just can't seem to keep him behind bars. In the song Bust Down, released 5th of February 2021, Yoshi tells how some of his friends did him wrong during his house arrest, rapping that some of them thought it was over for him, but they got it wrong because he's still making lots of money on house arrest. He also threatens to put a $10,000 bounty on someone's head, just like he did to their brother. Ironically, it would seem that around the times Yoshi would be at his most brazen, the courts would deliver bad news in his case. 20 days after that song, about putting money on people's heads, the judge in his upcoming case would deliver yet another devastating blow to his defense, by ruling that the jury would be allowed to hear evidence about his alleged involvement in the Miami hotel incident that targeted Youngboy in 2019. And this announcement would come with numerous revelations that spelled disaster for Yoshi's case. Allegedly, phone records from the time of the shooting in Miami gave investigators Lit Yoshi's approximate cell phone location, which turned out to be on the same street as the Trump Hotel where Youngboy was shot and an innocent man died. In fact, Yoshi was allegedly on the phone to an unspecified incarcerated TBG member who was in jail while at the location of the shooting. Not only that, but prosecutors would also use his Instagram lives against him, where he had publicly claimed that NBA members had ratted on him in the June 2019 drive-by shooting case. But even more crazy than that is the fact that in spite of all of the mounting evidence against him, Yoshi would continue dropping music that continued to incriminate him. In his song Together, released on July the 16th, 2021, Yoshi would take the self-incrimination to a whole new level, rapping that his ops are going to die together and alluding to doing a drive-by shooting, saying that he will pull up next to his ops' car and try and make them fly. Even going as far as to say he doesn't care if his ops are with their families, he will shoot them wherever. Yoshi also raps about catching someone slipping and shooting him and then killing a couple more people. Outrageous lyrics when you consider the fact that at the time this released, he was on house arrest for numerous shootings, including a car-to-car drive-by that targeted a family with 2 children in the car. Ultimately, it would seem that finally, the judge, prosecutors, and police had eventually seen enough, and Yoshi's stint on house arrest in his plush South Florida home would come to an end on the 22nd of July 2021. While Lit Yoshi was staying at TBG label mate Fredo Bang's house, federal agents would suddenly burst in using smoke bombs, assault rifles, and tactical gear, with cops presenting outstanding warrants in Baton Rouge for both Fredo Bang and Lit Yoshi, arresting them both. This would apparently be the result
they be doing that to, like, Speed. Speed?
Yeah.
They did that shit to, like, Speed and Aiden and shit. That people in the chat would get them swatted. And that's when,
yeah, I remember seeing a video like that.
Yeah, they be drawn. They come through the windows,
That's
door.
insane. Like,
having
you just
ARs and shit.
vibing and they just start
They're like, get on the ground.
messing shit up.
Violations, as the terms of Yoshi's release stated that he wasn't allowed to appear in music videos, post on social media, or possess firearms. And Fredo Bang was also on probation for pleading guilty to a weapons charge relating to a 2015 shooting in Baton Rouge. Unfortunately for Fredo Bang, during the raid, guns were also found inside his home, along with a stolen car parked outside, and the presence of these firearms would mean big trouble for Yoshi too. Just days after the raid, authorities would announce that they were adding another attempted murder charge to his case, the April 2020 shooting where he had allegedly tried to kill NBA Pap and NBA Michi Baby the month after accusing him of snitching on him. Things had turned for Yoshi, and it would only get worse from here. His bond was officially revoked by a Baton Rouge judge on September the 9th, 2021, with federal agents who conducted the raid testifying that 5 guns, ammunition, and a bulletproof vest had all been found in Fredo's house while Yoshi was there, and Yoshi's March 2020 social media posts calling the victims of one of these shootings NBA Michi a snitch was also used against him. This was a dumb move, because calling the victim a snitch publicly is basically an admission that you in fact did the crime. But even in light of all of this damning evidence, Yoshi's team were apparently working on a strategy of trying to finesse him out of jail on bail once again, but that plan would ultimately fall flat when it was revealed in court that Yoshi's DNA was found on a gun that was recovered in the July raid. Apparently this DNA evidence would link Yoshi directly to the shootings that he was being investigated for, which meant that he would have absolutely no chance of making bail again, and meaning that he'd be sat behind bars awaiting trial rather than living it up in Miami. Eventually, in July 2022, Lit Yoshi pleaded guilty to charges connected to 2 shootings in 2019 and 2020, and as a result, Yoshi was sentenced to face 15 years in prison at a hard labor facility, followed by 3 years of active parole. Funnily enough though, a month later, Yoshi would claim to have been tricked by prosecutors and launching a bid to change his plea from guilty back to not guilty, arguing that his lawyer never told him that he would get 15 years for accepting the guilty plea, suggesting that he was only expecting to get 6.5, even claiming that during negotiations, his lawyer had actually been suspended from practicing law. It was a long shot, but it was the best that Yoshi could hope for. And while things were getting very serious for Yoshi behind bars, Hardaway was still upping the ante on the war back in Baton Rouge. In August 2022, he released an EP titled Transition, where he would take numerous shots against Youngboy, NBA, and 4K Trey. In the song Sinister, Hardaway disses Youngboy, saying that while his albums are going #1, his friends back in Baton Rouge are getting killed. After hearing about these lyrics, Big B would actually comment, "Who died?" insinuating that nobody from their side had been killed recently. The following month, unfortunately, someone would indeed lose their life, but it wouldn't be an NBA member, because on the night of Tuesday, the 20th of September 2022, at around 8 p.m, Seven Hardaway, real name Stanley Wright, was in the parking lot of the building where he lived, the Sherwood Place apartment complex in Baton Rouge. Here, he was approached by unknown assailants who shot him from close range, leaving him on the pavement, where he would ultimately lose his life, being laid to rest just days later, where he would be seen surrounded by TBG members. Police were quick to determine that this homicide was gang-related, and specifically targeted Seven for his affiliations to TBG and connection to Lit Yoshi. With that in mind, it was no surprise what happened next. TBG's enemies would soon begin commenting on Hardaway's death on social media. 4K Trey affiliates would be seen on IG Live laughing and saying that they were smoking on number 7.
We got him lagging. New iPad? What new iPad? On a dead, now they talking to him. You got a chance to say it to their face. Say it with your chest. Huh? They was dissing on it.
And of course, his friends would make posts hinting at future get back. However, despite being quick to determine the death of Hardaway as gang-related, the Baton Rouge police once again have struggled to find the killer, making his death yet another devastating statistic of Baton Rouge's out-of-control gang war. And speaking of numbers, back in prison, the last-minute attempt to backtrack on his guilty plea proved to be an enormous failure for Lit Yoshi. And in May 2023, Yoshi's bid to change his plea was officially rejected, leaving him set to serve the full 15 years of hard labor, essentially leaving the streets of Baton Rouge and Miami for the next 15 years just a little bit safer for adults and children alike. I think it's important here just to reiterate the fact that there is nothing glamorous about this gangbanging lifestyle. Lit Yoshi got what he deserved. He was a man who, despite having a musical talent, was primarily focused on continuing this gang war and shooting at his rivals. He had no remorse for the innocent men, women, or children who got in the way, and he's frankly a deplorable human being who absolutely deserves to be taken off the streets for 15 years because of the things he did. But that doesn't mean that his ops aren't without blame either. But there's no way of looking at it. Lit Yoshi was clearly a danger to society and absolutely should have been put away sooner. However, his absence from the gang war wouldn't mean bliss or safety for Baton Rouge's most famous rap crew. In fact, it would be the very opposite, as while TBG's most feared shooter was finally facing the legal repercussions of his reckless actions, a whole other group of reckless gangsters from Chicago would soon enter the picture, starting a beef with Youngboy that he never even wanted to be part of. But in this case, this beef was very personal, because it involved the mother of one of Youngboy's many children, and ultimately would wind up becoming another deadly feud that would claim the lives of people on both sides.
That's crazy.
Despite his turbulent life in the
What the hell? What?
That guy even only got 15 years. Like,
Why?
because they just
He
can't.
got 15 years for attempted murder.
Right. But they only linked him to like actually 2 cases, and he's only getting 15 years. Like, I feel like he should get more, and then, but they can't prove shit at the same time.
Yeah, that's why he only get 15, because they only could prove a certain amount of things. They
And
only
he's dumb
prove
as
that he
shit talking about he pleaded guilty just so that he gets 6 years, but thinking that he was gonna get 6 years, but he actually got 15. Like,
You don't know though. Only their
but he didn't
lawyers
say
gonna know.
he didn't say he got a plea deal or nothing. He pleaded guilty, so that means he said he was.
The lawyer told him that though.
But still, it's like they make a decision right there in the court. I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah.
why
but
are you not?
Before you take the deal, the lawyer's like, all right, you'll probably, if you take this deal, you'll get this amount of years.
Right.
streets, family has always been important to Youngboy. Despite growing up with an unstable home life, he always found friends to call his brothers, and older figures to nurture him, whether his biological mother Sharonda, his grandmother who raised him like a mother, or his best friend OG3's mother who took him in as one of her own. With that in mind, it's no surprise that since becoming a father at the young age of 16, Youngboy has taken his family obligations very seriously, and let me tell you, it's ended up being one big family. Despite his young age, Youngboy has had quite the love life, and at the age of 23, he has been reported as having as many as 11 children. However, that might not be entirely accurate. So I actually did a full breakdown on Youngboy's family tree, his dating history, and the timeline of when he had all of his children. But once again, I didn't have enough time in this YouTube version to fit it all in. So if you want to see that, check out the uncut version of the video on Patreon, or the extended version of this chapter that's going to go up on my third channel, Trap Law Clips, soon. All in all, Youngboy's relationship history has been a roller coaster ride that has left him with a large family of at least 10 biological children to 8 different baby mothers. Youngboy's enormous family would provide him with many blessings and a lot of love at home, but it would also leave him with a lot of vulnerabilities to his enemies. With so many people to look after and look out for, it wouldn't be surprising that his opposition might try and use some of those closest to him to attack him. Ultimately, it was one particular relationship that would end up forever altering not just
Sickening. Sickening. You don't even know, like, this shit really gets sickening. Like, the shit that really about to happen, like, that he about to, I know what happened. With her, like, she did some real, like, weirdo shit, like.
the lives of Youngboy and his partners, but also the lives of the people around him, with one of the mothers of his children ultimately ending up being used as a pawn in a rap beef between Youngboy and Chicago drill rapper King Von, with Jania's involvement in the beef being the first escalation in a series of unfortunate events which would ultimately end in numerous people losing their lives in front of millions of people.
This shit gets this where we get serious. Well, it already was serious, but like this is like the newer shit. Like, all right, we about to finish the. It's probably gonna be like 2 more parts after this. This is where we get serious, bro. We really got lock in for these next parts, bro. Like, this is the newer age shit. Like, a lot of more people are gonna know about this because King Von like more popular than a lot of niggas from Baton Rouge. So. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, smash the like button, follow the handles in the description below, bro. Part 5, 6 dropping soon. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. Follow the Twitch, and we out.